So these are some tools to help you stay informed and be safe and have fun. And today we're going to focus on Notify NYC sort of as a way of knowing about anything that might disrupt the sort of daily schedule of the city, might make you need to change your plans, anything that's an emergency. This is just a really good thing to be connected to so you know what's going on in case of emergencies or even just daily changes in things like traffic and stuff, and even like health alerts too. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the categories in a minute. If you haven't used Notify NYC before, it's the official source of information about emergency alerts and important city services. So basically, if there is anything that might disrupt the sort of day-to-day business of the city in any sort of way, there should be a Notify NYC alert about it. And by signing up for Notify NYC alerts, you are making sure that you get these alerts either by email or in the app. And we'll talk about the two different ways that you can sign up to receive these alerts. And you can also sign up very specifically for the types of alerts you want to receive. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Just know that, so differentiating, you can either sign up to get alerts in your email. This can be a good way of doing it. You do have to make a password and a username in order to do that, to sign up your email. Some of the good things about that, they can be fully translated into a number of different languages straight into your email box. You can also download the Notify NYC app and you'll get alerts by push notification through that. And for that, you actually don't need to really sign up. Basically, it's just you download the app, you give them permission to know where you are so they can focus their alerts on where you are. The drawbacks of that is that that's another app and it can drain your battery. It requires connection to the internet, so it can use some of your data sometimes too. It's not a bad battery drainer, but just if you're worried about that. Also, it takes a little bit more of a step to get the alerts translated through the app. So I'll show you that in a minute. But the first thing I want to look at is how to sign up for email alerts from Notify NYC. The first thing you're going to do to get started is go to this website. It's www.nyc.gov/Notify NYC. You can also just look up Notify NYC, Google it, and it should be the first thing to pop up. All right, and if you're on your phone, you should see a screen that looks pretty much like this. I want to point out before you even get started that if you want this page and the pages associated with it translated, you can go here and click on the Google Translate button, and there's a whole bunch of languages to choose from, if that's helpful to you. So once you get to this front page, it's going to say create a new Notify NYC account with NYC ID or log into existing Notify NYC or use social account. I would recommend, if you haven't used Notify NYC before, if you want to get your alerts via email, to go ahead and click this red button and create a new Notify NYC account. It's just a good way to make sure you're starting from the beginning and getting the sort of things you want to get. Sometimes if you try and log in with social accounts, it gets a little confusing because you haven't signed up for the specific alerts, and it's difficult to figure out how to do that from there. So I would say just go with this big red button. We're going to follow the steps for that. We're going to click on create new Notify NYC account with NYC ID. And what we're going to do here is set it up just like you would set up an account on most things, right? So you're going to enter your email address and then you're going to confirm it. So you enter it twice, just make sure it matches. And then you're going to make up a password. And I don't remember, I think the password, it doesn't require you to have something that's super strong, like it has symbols or anything in it. And remember, you want this and all your passwords to be things that you can easily remember, that aren't necessarily easy for other people to guess. This is just a plug to say, if you don't have a system for remembering your passwords or having a place where you can go to see your passwords, just make sure you're doing stuff that you will be able to remember eventually, or you have a method for making sure you have your passwords for each app or login that you need to do. So do your password there, confirm it. Then it's going to ask you to pick a security question. They're all like, what was your childhood pet's name or something? You're just going to pick one of the questions and then put your answer in there. And that's going to be used to recover your account if ever you forget your password. And make sure you remember your answer to that too. There's a design sorter, so you will, but sometimes I get tripped up on there. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to scroll down and click here to say that you understand the terms of service, the terms of use. If you want to read any of those, just to make sure what the privacy policy and terms of service are, you can click any of these blue links. And then you're going to click on create account. And like with some other websites, what they're going to do is send you a confirmation email to that email that you listed. And you're going to need to click on that link just to confirm that that's your email address. So right after you hit create account, it might take a minute or so, but go and check your email and you should have a confirmation email from them with the link that you click on. It's really important to do that because if you don't, you won't be enrolled. That's like an essential step to making sure you enroll in Notify NYC. So once you've done that, you will have a little bit more of this form stuff to do. These are just some questions to make sure that you're receiving the types of alerts that you want to in the format that you want to receive them. So first you need to check just that you're 16 years or older. And then again, you're going to accept the privacy statement. If you want to look at it, you can click on it. And then this is important. Select the language in which you would like to receive alerts. There's tons of them. Hopefully you should have access to your first language. And this, as I said before, it's like getting these as emails can be a little bit more straightforward when it comes to translation. So you set it up from the very beginning, what language you want these messages to be in. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and then you're going to scroll down, put in your first and last name, and it says username. What will pop up there is the email that you actually registered with. And I would just keep that as it is. And that's the email where you're going to receive your alert. If you have multiple emails, make sure you're using the one that you check regularly. Okay, and then you'll also be asked to enter a physical address. And the reason for this is they want to target your alerts to your specific location, right? You don't have to put your home if you don't want to. You can put whatever you want, really. I would say, put somewhere that is relatively close to a place that you frequent. You can actually pull this down and say intersection too. So if you don't want to say your actual street address, you can say, 112th Street and 2nd Avenue. What I did here, I actually put the Harlem Neighborhood Health Action Center, the building on here. This is their address. And if you want to do that, you can do that too. So that'll give you alerts for things that are in the general area of the East Harlem Neighborhood Health Action Center, but also like Manhattan at large. It'll be focused, depending on the type of alert, it might be borough based or it might be neighborhood based. But this will just give them a little bit of a better sense of where you are. You won't necessarily then be getting alerts for like Jamaica Queens, which you might not need. So feel free to use the Neighborhood Health Action Center's address too if you'd like. All right, so this is where we get into what kind of alerts do you want to receive. You'll see this red check next to emergency alerts. If you are signed up for Notify NYC, you will automatically receive emergency alerts. You can't uncheck that. That's the one that everybody gets if you're signed up for this. And what that entails is a lot of it is weather, so like shelter in place orders, evacuation instructions, severe weather warnings. This is actually new news to me, is that, when you get the weather alerts and your phone makes that really loud noise, that's usually either federal or state emergency services. So if you get that, I think everybody gets that. It's a carrier thing that you have to get. But if you get that, that doesn't mean that you're signed up for Notify NYC. That's a sort of national or state thing. This is more directly New York City. But, those other alerts are really helpful too. You might get alerts from Notify NYC that are sort of backed up by these national or state alerts, depending on how large of an issue there is. But just know that just if you've gotten those alerts on your phone, that doesn't mean that you're signed up to Notify NYC. Notify NYC emergency alerts, which you're signed up for, also include missing persons alerts. So like silver alerts, anything that is a missing child, you'll get those as well. Then you can sign up for whatever of these additional alerts you want based on your needs. So like, I just sort of did it for myself. Like, what are the things that I would need to know? And what I signed up for was mass transit alerts, major traffic disruptions, planned events. That could be like, parades, or sometimes it's protests, police advisories, public health notifications. That's a really good one as we're, looking at what might come with COVID and other public health issues. Regional mass transit, school notifications, significant events, which I'm sure covers a lot of ground, and then weather emergencies, right? The ones I didn't check, just because they're not my primary thing, is ferry disruptions, which could be helpful if you're using the ferry app that we talked about before. Emergency parking suspension. I don't have a car, so it doesn't affect me that much, so I didn't check it. And then basement alerts, which could be really helpful if you live in a basement or if you live in a building that has a basement. You do need to put in a phone number for that. So if there's potential flooding in the area where you are, they'll actually go ahead and text you that or call you to let you know that if you signed up for basement alerts, because they want you to be able to act really quickly with those. So check off the ones you want. You can just get emergency alerts. That's fine too. Whatever you want to get is fine. And then just hit save and continue. All right. And that's how you sign up to get these alerts by email. All right. So you should start to receive them relatively quickly. It's depending on the day or week or how, active things are in the city. You might get a couple or you might not get any for a minute. That's okay. But if you ever need to go back in and adjust your settings, you can go back to that Notify NYC page and just change your settings. Otherwise, you don't really need to log back into Notify NYC unless you want to change what you're receiving or you need to change your email. They'll just go to your email automatically until you ask them to stop. So please do remember your email and password for that, but you're probably not going to need it on a super regular basis unless you're really modifying what kind of alerts you want to receive. So that's one option for how you can receive Notify NYC alerts. That's the one that goes through your email. Now I want to show you another option, which requires you to download the Notify NYC app. What it doesn't require you to do is make any sort of login. It could just be a better option for you. Depends on your preference. Okay, so let's look at that real quick. Okay, so if you'd rather use the Notify NYC app and get alert notifications, so push notifications is how they'll come up. And a push notification is when your phone, if you've got your phone set to any sort of vibrating or ringing or anything, it's when it pops up on the top of your thing. You can scroll down and see like a notification come up on your either your lock screen or your home screen. That's what a push notification is. You would get sort of updates in that way as opposed to through email. So what you're going to do is either on the Play Store or the App Store, depending on whether you have an Android or an iPhone, just look up Notify NYC and you should see this app that looks like an exclamation point. And you're going to click install. All right. And once you've installed it, it's going to give you the option to open it, and go ahead and open it. It's going to ask for location permission. And this is similar to why they were asking for an address in the last one, is they just want to know how to target the most local alerts to you, to where you are. This is you giving them permission to use that. You can or can't. I'm okay with that. I usually put allow on that. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can still use the app. You'll just see alerts more sort of citywide. So whatever you choose to do there is fine, but it will be more targeted if you hit allow there. Then there's a big long terms of use. Feel free to read it if you would like. Otherwise, scroll all the way down. I think it makes you scroll all the way down before you hit accept. And it again will ask you if you want to share your location. Again, you can say whatever you want. I said while using the app. If you say only this time, they'll ask you every time you open it. And if you say don't allow, then they shouldn't keep asking you. I don't think they do. All right, and then you're going to go through a similar process to what we talked about before, but I'll show you the steps here. So this is signing up for the particular kinds of notifications you want to receive. When you get in here, you'll see this map, and we'll look at that a little more closely in a second. But to set up what kind of notifications you want to get, you're going to click the gear for the settings up here. All right, and then you're going to see the options here that are similar, just sort of in a different order to the ones we just saw on the website. So we're going to go through what some of these functions look like here. Okay, so on this one, there's a little button that says receive all notifications. So if you turn that on, you will get every notification for everything. So if something's happening in, Far Rockaway, you would still get that. You might not want that. You might want that. Just keep that in mind when you turn that on, is that you might get a lot of alerts because of that. And that would be all these different categories of alerts as well. You can add up to 5 notification addresses in here as well. So that's what we did in the last one when we added an address for the East Harlem Health Action Center. So you could put your home address, you could put your work address, just or a friend's address, so you know what's going on around them. So just know that you can put up to that many, and they'll target to those specific locations. And then you just click on the ones you want to receive. Again, the same as what we were talking about before. I didn't turn on receive all notifications, but I just went ahead and checked them all just to do that. And you'll see again that emergency alerts are still required, so it gives you no option to uncheck that. One thing I want to make sure you see is make sure you hit save once you have made any changes in here. They're not going to update until you hit save, so just make sure you do that. And then you're set. Then you should start getting alerts. So I wanted to show you just an example of what one looks like. So this is within the app. You would also get a push notification about this. So this is about a planned bridge closure that's happening between April 22nd and April 28th. So the Williamsburg Bridge is going to be closed because of planned work. So this is what's popping up on mine now. And you see that red area is the area that's affected by it. If one of your addresses, or if you're currently located in that area, you would have received that notification. Or if you're signed up to receive all notifications, that would be one that you would get as well. But I got it because I'm in Manhattan. So they're including Manhattan in that area. One thing I wanted to note here too, this is one of the things I was saying about translation in the app is a little bit trickier, is that you have access to translation here, but you have to generally click on a link to see the translated version of these messages. You can also see it in American Sign Language here, which could be helpful. I'm not sure that that feature is available. Like, I don't think there's a link on the emails that they send that lets you do that. I could be wrong about that, but this is where I see like ASL popping up as an option. If it's easier for you to read these notifications in another language, you might want to get them by email. Well, I get them, but I don't get as many as I realized I could get. So I actually signed up for more than I used to get. So it can be really helpful, especially just to keep track of what's going on.